In the followed months, we see Botan she wasn't sure if she should change her clothes. Before she went outside, she recalled the time before Hyoma was living with them. 6 months ago, they intended to clean the room for Hyoma's moving. Nagi didn't want to clean, but Botan forced him to make sure Hyoma can live comfortable in the mansion. Then Yu remembered Botan as a little child, when she first helped them cleaning the house. Meanwhile, Haori was outside and taking care of the sheets with her Tsukumogami abilities. After that, Nagi complained that Kusuke and Kagami didn't help them. They were to buy new furniture, and Kagami looked forward to buy furniture in Japanese style. Then Botan was cleaning the dust, and she discovered a pipe of her grandpa. Yu told her about her grandpa's behave to smoke sometimes if he was bored. Followed a magical hand of a genie was appeared, and she screamed. His family were worried, and they saw a Tsukumogami. Botan managed to free herself, but she was attacked immediately. Following this, the Nagatsuki family was angry at the monster, who attacked Botan. So they started to fight in the house against the hand. Nagi teamed up with Yu and he cut the Tsugumogami into 2 pieces. As a result, the Tsugumogami was defeated, but Nagi destroyed the pipe of her grandpa. He apologized and he thought Botan is angry at him. She wasn't angry and thanked them all for protecting her. However, her family were proud of Botan for growing to a nice girl. Back in the present, she was ready to go school. On the way heading to school, she met Hyoma. Hyoma said he will learn today new fighting styles from the Sanome in Kyoto. Meanwhile, Kagami was frustrated because they didn't become a couple yet. Following this, we see Hyoma, who launched an attack, but Tsubaki defeated him. In the afternoon, Tsubaki gave him advice to become better, and she wondered if Botan see her as a rival. Hyoma didn't realize that Tsubaki had a crush on him. After that, Hyoma told her some story about his siblings. She learned they both were very talented and managed to defeat strong Tsukumogamis in young ages. One day, Hayato said they were lectured for making trouble. Kusui replied they just were scolded because they stole Grandpa Zohi's job. Hyoma learned his siblings want to become the leaders of the Kunado clan. Then Hyoma wished them good luck, and his big sister and big brother was very happy about his words. After hearing the story about his siblings, she understood how much they loved Hyoma. Meanwhile, the Nagatsuki family were preparing a plan for the next job to protect all humans at a festival. Also, Haori told them they will meet Kyoto's 3 great Tsukumogamis. On the next day, Botan was visiting with his friend the Aoi festival. Suddenly, her friend asked how things are going with Hyoma. Botan told her friend he's got work today. The real reasons why Hyoma didn't accompany Botan to the parade on the festival is they remind him of the night parade of 100 demons. As a result, he always became angry if he visits a festival. Followed Kei was teasing her and making her angry. Suddenly Hyoma appeared behind them and he unintentionally scared the 2 girls. Afterwards, he told her that Haori said she should cook dinner tonight because they'll be out late. Then Hyoma sensed a weird aura of a strong Tsukumogami. He wished Botan good luck to handle the dinner and he went to check the suspicious aura. Following this, Hyoma tried to find an evil Tsukumogami. He was locate the Tsukumogami and he reported them to his team. Suddenly the Tsukumogami was causing trouble and Hyoma said he will handle it. Following this, he rushed to fight, but another group appeared. The 3 great Tsukumogamis of Kyoto started to send the spectators to asleep. Also, they caught the Tsukumogamis, and the 3rd one launched an attack. As a result, they managed to seal the evil Tsukumogami with ease. He was surprised to see them handle the situation without problems. Later, Hyoma met the group on a rooftop, and he sensed a strong aura. He asked them if they are the Bureau of Traditional Music. They introduced themselves, and Hyoma thanked them for helping him. Then they were happy to learn more about Hyoma, and he was confused. The reasons for their interest of Hyoma was, they heard about his victory against the Onigawara of O. Followed Hyoma said they were a big help and understood they aren't enemies. Suddenly, Haori landed on Hyoma and she smashed him into the ground. She understood the Bureau of Traditional Music had helped Hyoma with the Tsukumogami problem. Then they said goodbye to Haori and they wanted to make music on the streets. Hyoma asked Haori to stand up, and Hyoma wondered why his device didn't work. Followed, he tried to fix his problem, and he saw an umbrella. Hyoma recalled the moment in his childhood, when he saw a message of his siblings. Afterwards, we see his siblings asked a Tsukumogami if she is okay. Suddenly they were attacked, but they wiped out the attack with their Chibiki Eva weapon. In addition, Hayato launched an attack, and he cut the Tsukumogami into many pieces. Following this, Kusui launched an attack, but her attacks was reflected. She was badly injured, and Hayato was shocked. so he learned they were trapped by the enemy. He wondered how a Tsukumogami can use Seinomi talismans. Then the umbrella Tsukumogami started an attack, and he understood the enemy is a malevolent god. Hyoma couldn't believe his siblings were defeated. Back in the present, Hyoma found the Tsukumogami who murdered his siblings. On the second festival day, the Bureau of Traditional Music celebrated their return. Everyone were happy to see their comeback, and they started to entertain the crowd. Then Hyoma was surprised to see them, and Kagami said he should ignore them. Kagami scolded him, and said he promised to enjoy the festival today with her. Later we see Haori telling Suzuki about the romantic check of Kagami. So Suzuri thought Hyoma will cause a big trouble again and wasn't sure if Kagami's plan will be a success. Then we see Hyoma, and he told Kagami about his workout plans, but she said today he should rest. Followed, Hyoma realized he never experienced fun things. All he'd done in his life was to train for the fight against Tsukumogamis. As a result, Kagami decided to take the lead and she wanted to teaching how to get fun. She activated her Tsukumogami power and tried to find a way, which allowed them to avoid big crowds. She got enough data and looked forward to have fun with Hyoma. Following this, they started to go shopping. Hyoma was worried, because she used her power in the public. But Kagami didn't care. At lunch, they visited a fancy Italian restaurant and Hyoma just ordered a small salad. Kagami told him they are not on The Biggest Loser TV show, so she switched the meals with Hyoma and told him to enjoy the pizza. Afterwards, they were playing bowling and Kagami got a lot of fun. Then, Kagami learned Hyoma lacked talent for bowling. Later, they took a break at a coffee shop and Hyoma asked what exactly fun was. So Kagami shocked by the question and she asked him if he had enjoyed the day. Then Hyoma replied, he thinks he enjoyed the day, but he began to ask why she wanted to teach him to have fun. Kagami got angry and she told him the truth. Followed, Hyoma learned she just tried to make him and Botan to a couple. Kagami was happy and she found out the real feelings of Hyoma about Botan. Followed, Kagami began to play with Hyoma a mindset game and asked him about his feelings about Botan. She tried to finish him off and Hyoma replied he liked Botan. In addition, he hit a home run and Hyoma made a lot of compliments. Suddenly, Kagami realized she misunderstood his words and she was depressed. Followed, Hyoma said she respects Botan because she faced countless trials in her lifetime. Kagami said she has mixed feelings, but she believes they become someday a cute couple. As a result, he blushed, and he didn't want to show Kagami his face. On the way home, he was exhausted. Suddenly, an evil Tsukumogami appeared, and Nagi was hunting him. Hyoma was happy to help them, and he followed them both to seal the evil Tsukumogami. Then Kagami looked forward and wished they become someday a couple. On the next day, we see the Bureau of Traditional Music visiting the Nagasaki family. Tsumabiki and Suzumi were surprised to see Botan. They wanted to sing with Botan a song, but Haori told them she is busy. Also, they told Fuki was pulled aside for being suspicious. Then Botan learned Hyoma went to a walk because he didn't want sang with them. Meanwhile, Hyoma wondered why they visit the Nagatsuki family. A day before, he asked Nagi about the reasons why the Bureau protect humans. So Hyoma learned they find humans worth as an audience to hear their music. Suddenly, Hyoma met the friends of Botan and they greeted him. Kei and Natsuki got the idea to learn more about Hyoma, so they decided to kidnap Hyoma. Followed, Netsuke got scared, and she remembered Hyoma got a scary glare, but he is a nice guy. Then the girls realized he didn't try to shake them off, and Botan felt a sudden chill. Afterwards, Kushka showed up, and some of the Nagatsukis were tired to talking with them the whole time. Following this, they come to the main topic and they complained about their actions to make Botan and Hyoma to a couple. They blamed the Nagatsuki family for breaking the law. Don't make use of Botan Nagatsuki. In the meantime, Hyoma was asked if he is really related with Botan. Hyoma replied, they are distant relatives. So Kei and Natsuki wondered why she didn't have a boyfriend. Also, Kei told them many guys asked Kei to introduce Botan to them, but she always rejected. Hyoma couldn't following their conversation. However, he understood they just were worried and they are good friends of Botan. Suddenly Botan appeared and she asked them both what they did with Hyoma. Hyoma was an honestly guy and told Botan they just kidnapped him. As a result, Kei and Natsuki were scolded by Botan. Followed, Botan's friends didn't believe Hyoma is a relative of her and said they are a cute couple. In addition, the girls were suspicious and they wanted to know more about their relationship. Then Tsumabiki asked Haori if they had the plan to seal the Marabito. The reason is the last awakening was caused by human betrayal. Also, they knew the girl stands on the boundary between the bad and the good. So they asked if the Nagatsuki family used Hyoma to make Botan to find true happiness as a wife, and sealed the Marabito. Haori replied, "It's all speculations," but Tsumabiki said, she figured out Hayoma fulfilled all possible conditions to be Botan's life partner. Haori asked them, what would they do if her theory were correct about sealing the Marabito, and she threatened them. Suddenly Tsumabiki and Suzumi started to make music, and replied they just would play music. Haori was confused with their actions, and learned they just wanted to know the plan, but they didn't care to interrupt them and wished them good luck. Following this, the bureau asked them for help, because they tried to find an evil Tsukumogami. In the following days, we see Botan and her friends in the university. Suddenly, a handsome guy got the interest in Botan, and said she has a cute name. Arrived in the club room, they showed to handsome guy the club. Suddenly, Natsuke locked the room and the guy was confused, but the girls just were desperate to find a boyfriend. Followed the guy was forced to stay longer, and he tried to flirt with Botan, but Natsuke tried to seduce the boy, and she didn't let him flirt with her best friend. Then the handsome guy was cornered by Natsuke and two other girls who desperately wanted a boyfriend. He was scared of them and ran out of the club room. Meanwhile, Kei made fun of them, and she tried to cheer up the three girls, but they replied the university life isn't fun without a boyfriend. Afterward, they found Botan's behavior strange because she acted like she had a boyfriend. As a result, Kei asked if she could invite Hyoma for some helps. Following this, Hyoma was called, and he didn't mind to help them. However, Hyoma arrived at Botan's university, and he was arrested by the security guards, because they thought he is a criminal. Botan cleared the misunderstanding, and she heard about his story. Then he asked her if he really looks like a suspicious person to strangers. Followed, Hyoma learned how she found a club in the university. She told him she wasn't interested first, but they all were so nice, and she joined the club. Later, he was greeted by Botan's friends, and they tried to get rid of Botan to learn more about the relationship between the two. Hyoma said he is fine by his own, and she can focus on her studies. In the club room, they locked the door again, and Hyoma reacted happy. He praised them for being a cautious person, and Natsuke didn't see this reacting coming. However, he was served tea by the girls, and they started with the questions about Botan. He realized he was trapped, and they tried to find out about his feeling about Botan. Following this, Hyoma answered, he swore that he always will protect Botan. The girls were excited and asked more questions. As a result, they learned about the moment he told Botan for protecting her forever. Hyoma caused a big misunderstanding. Meanwhile, Botan saw Hyoma out of the window and she wondered what he is doing. Then the girls understood they are very shy, and they planned to hook up the both. Suddenly Botan appeared and she was furious. Her best friend said they only had good intentions. So her best friends invited Botan to cheesecake and green tea to say sorry, but Botan sensed a weird feeling. Then the evil paper umbrella Tsukumogami showed up, and the girls didn't know what is happening. Suddenly the evil Tsukumogami asked if the seal of her is weakened, and she activated her Tsukumogami abilities. Then Botan and her friends got a bad feeling and they tried to run away. But the enemy created a barrier and she trapped Botan and her friends into a dark zone. Following this, they disappeared into another dimension. In addition, we see Kai, and he told Itsuki that he have felt an familiar energy. Then Hyoma was able to sense the evil energy too, and recall the memories about the umbrella Tsukumogami in her final form. However, Botan's friends were locked in the trap, and they were terrified about the situation. Following this, they tried to find her, but she told her friends she is fine, and they should stay on their place. Botan was scared too, and the paper umbrella Tsukumogami was glaring at her. Suddenly, she attacked Botan, but her body was protected by a strong barrier. Then the paper umbrella Tsukumogami said she will free the Yorimashi. Out of nowhere, Natsuke attacked the monster and she tried to save Botan. In the meantime, Kei tried to find a way out of the trap and wanted to call for help. Suddenly, Kei and Natsuke were caught by many hands. The enemy threatened them to cut them to many pieces, and another monster appeared. Natsuke was feared and she didn't want to die. Also, Kei was attacked by the ability of the paper umbrella Tsukumogami, and she didn't care about the girl's life. Suddenly, Hyoma showed up, and he saved the girls in the last moment. So he used his Chibiki Iwa to free everyone, and Botan was very happy to see him. Following this, he kicked the umbrella Tsukumogami with a kick, and freed Botan. He said she is saved now, and she remembered about his words, that he will always keep her safe. Suddenly the paper umbrella Tsukumogami asked him how he want to win against her if he needs to protect all three girls. Behind him, Hyoma's backup Fuki showed up and said that he will protect the girls. The umbrella Tsukumogami regenerated herself and she was surprised about Hyoma's backup, so Hyoma was able to fight all out against the enemy and he showed an exciting face to revenge his siblings. Following, he told Boten to stay behind him, and he wondered why the appearance of the monster is different than in the past. But Hyoma knew he need to calm down and plan his next steps for the fight. Then the enemy summoned his umbrella weapon out of the darkness. Meanwhile, Fuki said he's on their side and the safest place is near him. Boten learned Fuki used his ability to put them to sleep. So Boten was relieved that her friends are healthy and not injured. Suddenly, the paper umbrella monster absorbed the barrier, but Fuki said the barrier is still activated. Hyoma got some questions, and he said he will defeat her to protect the humans. Followed, she teleported behind Hyoma, and he countered with his elbow. But the enemy dodged his attack, and she was faster than Naruto's father Minato. Also, she looked down on Hyoma and said he lied because his facial expression looked different earlier. Suddenly, the umbrella Tsukumogamis asked him if he'd just intimidate his older siblings. So Hyoma recalled the goal of his siblings, who taught him to become a kind person. Also, he remembered how his siblings died, and he promised to destroy all evil Tsukumogamis. Back in the present, Hyoma used many talismans, and he combined them with his Chibiki Eva to create a new weapon, which he learned by the Katamori Sanome group. Hyoma launched an attack with his new strong weapons, and he jumped into the sky. But his attack was a failure, and the enemy dodged his attack with ease. She flew in the direction of Boten, and she prepared an attack. Followed, she attacked Boten, but Hyoma didn't manage to protect her in time. In the last moment, she was saved, and the enemy was hit by 2 different attacks. She recognized the Tsukumogami's abilities. Hyoma was surprised to see them, and they were ready for the battle against the strong enemy. So Haori said they will destroy the paper umbrella Tsukumogami now. Meanwhile, Hyoma realized that the aura of them aren't the same like always. Also, they teamed up with the Bureau of Traditional Music, so they got an enormous attack power. Followed, the enemy looked down on them and she launched with her umbrella power and strong attack. Kagami reflected her attack with her mirror power, and everyone surrounded the enemy. Then they got the signal and began to attack the enemy. Nagi used his sword, and he attacked her constantly with all his power. As a result, he managed to impale her, and they didn't stop with the attacks. She was overwhelmed, and didn't get the chance to escape. In addition, Suzuri smashed her to the ground, and Hyoma was impressed by the power of the Nagatsuki family. However, Hyoma learned Boten is protected by Haori. Suddenly, the enemy disappeared, and she used counter attacks against the 3 Nagatsuki members. They continued with the battle, and she dived into the earth with her abilities. Kagame used her mirror to locate the enemy, but she tried to get Boten into her hands. But her hand was cut into 2 pieces by Haori, and Hyoma started to kick her. Then she flew away by his strong kick, and Hyoma looked forward to get his revenge for his beloved siblings. Followed the Bureau of Traditional Music, and the Nagatsuki family started to seal the umbrella Tsukumogami. In the last moment, she said goodbye, and she smiled before she was sealed by them. So Hyoma and all of his friends were able to seal the paper umbrella Tsukumogami. Tsumabiki said she will store the sealed object in the warehouse of Insei Gnome clan. She also told Boten that her friends' memories had been altered, and they said goodbye. Hyoma got a bad feeling, because the sealing had been far too easy. Then Haori thanked Hyoma for protecting Boten until her arrival. But he said she was wrong, because he became preoccupied with defeating the enemy. Boten stopped him, and told him she was happy in the moment he appeared to save her in the darkness. Suddenly, Boten felt something in her body, and everyone were worried. Also, Boten's eyes were glowing, and they ran back to the Nagatsuki mansion. Arriving home, Tsubaki greeted them and explained everything. She showed them the vessel of Kusuke, and told them he was the real target. So Hyoma understood the battle isn't over, and he tried to find the enemy, who attacked Kusuke. Nagi said everyone can sense his urge to kill, and he saw the worried face of all Nagatsuki family members. Following this, Hyoma asked Tsubaki, where is the best place to protect Boten, and she suggested to go to her home. Later in the Katamori's mansion, they found out Kusuke is sealed in his own vessel. Then a girl explained that they have 2 ways to seal a Tsukumogami. She explained Kusuke sealed himself in the vessel, because he almost was destroyed. Also, she said she will try to fix the vessel, but she didn't know if he will return alive. In the meantime, Boten was unconscious, and her family worried about her condition. Following this, Taiju said they will get many problems now without Kusuke. Haori explained Hyoma that Kusuke used a barrier to protect the mansion and Boten to prevent the Marabito's awakening. Now Kusuke is sealed and the barrier didn't work, so the Marabito tried to gain the control of Boten. Taiju said they need to prepare countermeasures, and Suzuri agreed about the decision to lock up Boten. They knew letting her outside is dangerous, because many Tsukumogami want to get the power of Boten. Then Tsubaki appeared, and told them Boten woke up and Hyoma was injured by the Nagatsuki family. Tsubaki told her father that she will be taking him, and left the room too. However, the Nagatsuki family were worried, but Boten said she is fine. She thanked them for being worried about her and she thought Kushka is at home. In the meantime, Hyoma asked Tsubaki what did she want to talk about. She asked Hyoma if he encountered the paper umbrella Tsukumogami, but he wasn't sure if it was the same Tsukumogami from back then. Then Tsubaki said the best option is to wait, and Hyoma agreed. Then Hyoma learned Tsubaki uncovered a few things through her own investigations. In addition, she asked to exchange information about the umbrella Tsukumogami. Hyoma agreed and she was happy about the date, so she showed him an overnight stay where they can met. So Hyoma thought she'd just make jokes, but her big brothers wanted to talk with Hyoma. The reasons were that Hyoma just rushed at the opponent and they specially taught them the fighting style of the Katamori, so that he fights thoughtfully. So Hyoma was ready to be lectured by Tsubaki's big brothers. After that he was lectured, and Tsubaki left the room. In addition, she was very happy about a potentially interesting enemy who finally appeared. Meanwhile, Boten was told about the situation of her family member Kushke. In the night, Hyoma bought orange juice, and he met Boten. He was happy that she is fine, but he felt sorry because he couldn't visit her in the infirmary. Followed Hyoma drank his apple juice. Boten told him that she is missing Kushka. She said he always played with her when the others went to work. So she said she had every time a lot of fun and didn't felt lonely, because Kushka stayed on her side. However, Boten believed he will wake up soon and she could change the mood. In addition, Hyoma learned she was waiting for him, and he remembered that Boten wanted to tell him something before she fainted out. Following this, she said thanks, because he kept his promise to protect her. Hyoma was happy to hear the words and he became even more motivated to protect her. Later, he reported his grandpa about the incident about the umbrella Tsukumogami. Followed, his grandpa gave him an advice, and he went on the next day to the Nagatsuki mansion. Then he looked at his siblings' Chibiki Eva weapons, and opened a small box with his own Chibiki Eva. His grandpa told him last night to use his own, because he needs to find his own power now. He was also proud that he had grown into a kind man who's seeking power to protect others. Later Tsubaki thought he is angry at her, because she didn't help him yesterday. Suddenly he appeared behind her and asked to use her family's dojo. Meanwhile Boten was worried about her friends, but her friends said they are fine. After that we see Hyoma and Boten wondered what he is doing with the box in the dojo. Tsubaki told her the box contains Hyoma his own door pulls. Then Hyoma was deep in thought, staring at his weapons, and he recalled the past, when he saw his big brother using the Chibiki Eva for the first time. Kusui told Hyoma, if he managed to master his own Chibiki Eva, he will able to use the movements too. Back in the present, Hyoma focused on using his Chibiki Eva, and he tried to figure how he can control the power. And Boten asked the reasons for his failure. Tsubaki told her that the Kunado family have all their own special Chibiki Eva, and they need a connection with them to use their full potential. So Hyoma couldn't create a connection because he used all the time the Chibiki Eva of his siblings. Following this, Taiju told them about the plans of the Sonomes, and Boten accepted to stay in the Katamori mansion. In addition, he told her she will have no limits on her own movements, and Tsubaki planned to invite her to a Sonomi's girls' night. Then Haori was told that the deputy director of the Sonome Marabito management office wants to see her. Taiju said they wants to decide if Boten can continue to be left under the Nagatsuki family's care, since Kushka was sealed. The whole Nagatsuki family don't want to leave Boten, and they told Boten about the Yakimata family. So she learned that the three great houses of the Sayanome called Kunato, Tsuji, and Yakimata. Suddenly they were shocked that Hyoma knew nothing about his family and the rank of the families. He replied he prioritized training over study, and Haori said they can't refuse the invitation. So Kagame tried to figure out how to protect Boten until they get back from the meeting. Suddenly the Bureau of Traditional Music offered to help them, and Sumabiki said they didn't need to worry. In addition, they told the Yakimita family asked them to fulfill their place to protect Boten until they are back. The Nagatsuki family told them to protect Boten with their life like them, and Hyoma was deep in thought about his problem with his Chibiki Eva. The next morning, Boten pondered about the words of the paper umbrella Tsukumogami, and she was scared about the Marabito inside of her body. Then she recalled when she asked Taiju about the truth. Taiju said the reason the paper umbrella activated is still far from clear, but it's all began when she was kidnapped by her relatives. Then Boten said, She remembered the day, but not what happened afterwards. So Taiju explained her during that amnesiac period, she wasn't a human. She gave the Marabito the ownership of her body, and after they arrived, all enemies were defeated. Also, Taiju said he witnessed a curious sight on that day, because the Tsukumogamis in his service saw all a bright light coming from Boten. As a result, he said all Tsukumogami knew there'd been a change of leadership inside Boten. Tsubaki asked if the light was the reason of the activated paper umbrella Tsukumogami. Taiju said it's just a theory, but they think the light caused the problem, because after that, the Kunado family were attacked by the paper umbrella. Back in the present, Boten was worried. In that moment, she recalled the memories of Hyoma, who said he will always keep her safe. Meanwhile, Hyoma was working out, and he thought about countermeasures to keep her safe in the future. Suddenly, he sensed a person watching him. Out of nowhere, he was attacked by Nagi, and Hyoma was confused. Then Nagi attacked Hyoma, and he understood his friend's intention. So he recalled the first fight of them when he looked at Nagi as an enemy, who used his power to protect someone. Following this, they began to fight against each other, and Hyoma used his talismans to lure Nagi into a trap. Suddenly, Hyoma launched an attack behind him, but Nagi dodged his attack with his swords. He started to counterattack Hyoma, and he wanted to become stronger to protect Boten. As a result, he overwhelmed Nagi with his Chibiki Eva weapons, but he launched an attack too. Nagi was impressed, but Hyoma said he can't employ their true power yet. After the fight, Hyoma said he will protect Boten with all his might, and Nagi was happy to hear his words. Suddenly Nagi got a call, because Haori commanded him to buy booze on the way home. Later, Yu promised they will be right back, and Haori said they wants to celebrate in advances in the hopes it will all go well. Nagi asked Haori how she can be so calm, and the other Nakatsuki members were worried. So Boten told them, she will be fine. The next day, Haori told Hyoma to take good care of her. Meanwhile, Yu gave her beloved mistress lucky charms, which should protect her in their absence. Boten said thanks and said she will waiting for them coming back. Afterwards, Boten recalled the day before, that Haori told her the life with Kyoto's Senome will be unpleasant, but they all just wants to protect her. Later we see Taiju thinking about something, and some members of Kyoto's Senome were not happy about Boten's stay in their mansion. The reason was that they don't see Boten as human. Taiju replied they can't leave their territory until it's decided what to do with her. In addition, he said he have a plan, and his subject were impressed by Taiju. Taiju knew the three weren't the only one who doesn't accept Boten. Followed we see Hyoma. He understood the reputation that precedes her is not a positive one. In the afternoon, two guys talked about Boten and they thought she is a new part-timer. One of them realized she is Boten Nagatsuki and was scared. Meanwhile, Taiju learned that she is working in the dining hall. Taiju was told his daughter caused the trouble, and Tamura introduced her to everyone as a new worker. So everyone were surprised to seeing Boten is just a normal girl. Then we see a day before, and she told her family that she will start tomorrow to work in the dining hall. The reasons of her decision to work there was that spending time doing nothing will probably be suffocating, and she wants to actively try to fit in. Haori thought her plan could work, and she told Boten to have fun in the time, so Taiju accepted her decision. Suddenly, he got a call and his son said she also helped them to make new talismans. Then Taiju replied, she can do what she wants if she is not in the way. In the days that followed, his other son called him and Taiju asked, where she's shown up now? Umakichi said she is in the training hall and she treating the injuries. She was happy to be useful, and the guys in the training hall were confused about the whole situation. Suddenly the Bureau of Traditional Musicians showed up, and they were glad that she is fine. Then Suzumi said she really got the spirit of rock, and she asked what exactly rock is. They were shocked and tried to explain them the power of rock music. In addition, they said throwing herself into the Senome like this means rock. She understood what rock meant and believed the reason for her drive for it was Hyoma. The Bureau were happy to see her smile, and they said they will get back to work. Followed we see two evil Tsukumogamis who planned to kidnap Boten to get her power. Then Tsumabiki was angry. As a result, they were ready to defeat them to protect Boten. After that, we see the Nagatsuki family, and Kagami was excited. Haori calmed them down and said if things get dicey, she is sure Zohei will step in. Suddenly, a Tsukumogami with an umbrella attacked them and jumped on the car.